These 5 people are worth nearly $500 million, and they're ready to invest their own money into the best business ideas they hear. But can anyone convince them to part with their cash?
I'm not religious, but a lot of people are. You've got the devil's number.
I think anyone going around with cufflinks with a photo of his boat on them would be a real tosser.
I'm just struggling to work out how you are making any money.
You can't build a building without putting up a safety rail.
Oh,
yes,
before you
no?
were born I was doing this stuff. Please don't preach to me.
Getting a successful business started often relies upon a good idea, a budding entrepreneur, money, and a helping hand from somebody who's been there and done that. Here at Dragon's Den, cash-hungry hopefuls aim to leave with that elusive winning combination. But first, they'll have to pitch their ideas to 5 of New Zealand's top business people. So who are these investors? The dragons in the den. Our first dragon, Sir Bob Jones, built his empire by first investing in commercial property. His wealth now stands at more than $200 million, making him one of the country's leading entrepreneurs. Julie Christie made her $25 million in the media industry. She sold her multi-million-dollar entertainment company earlier this year and has other investments ranging from hospitality to a South Pacific resort. Paul Webb started the cut-price airline CityJet. However, he hit the headlines when the company collapsed in 1999, but has since rebuilt his personal fortune to more than $20 million through investments in companies ranging from media to commercial fishing. Aucklander Annette Presley is worth more than $35 million. She started off investing in recruitment before buying and transforming Australian telecom businesses, and she's now the face and owner of internet firm Slingshot. Barry Colman started off his $130 million fortune in the publishing industry as founder of Liberty Press. He also has many high-end investments, ranging from retail through to aircraft manufacturing. Up first is Marshall Basham. He's an entrepreneur who knows how important it is to dress to impress the dragons, because that's his speciality. Marshall's looking for $79,000 to put a personal touch to an old tradition. In return, he's offering 51% of his company.
Hello, I must state that it's an honor to be in your presence. Never mind your celebrity, you're role models for me, and I aspire to be like you, and I want to be like you, so thank you for giving me this time. My name's Marshall Basham, and my invention is called the Light Link. The Light Link started from an idea to make a truly beautiful and unique New Zealand-made article of jewelry for men. This is a very high-end market. The type of man who wears a cufflink has no problem dropping $50 to $200 on a fashion accessory to match a shirt for one event. How do I know this? I currently am one of the larger manufacturers of cufflinks in New Zealand. My target market with this would be the English-speaking nations, typically in London. We'll hit LA, try to get into that celebrity market, Miami, and the second somebody picks it up in a celebrity tabloid, I'd like to run with it to the high school market in the United States. For 51% of the company, I'm asking for $79,000. I tried to scale it back to be a bit lean. Most of it's in materials, and I do have it itemized on this table of what every dollar is going to be spent on.
Marshall Basham's taken to flattering the dragons in his cool and confident pitch for his personalized cufflinks. As a regular cufflink wearer, Barry Colman wants to know more about the product and its potential market.
Are cufflinks coming back into fashion or something? I think they're all fuddy-duddy, people like me who wore them.
It's never gone out of style. I don't think it ever will. It's a class of person that will always have money, regardless of the economy, so it is inelastic. Now, it has a front end cap, which unscrews. You can put a picture of the things you covet, your new Aston Martin, or your new grandchild or your yacht.
How would you put that on?
This run...
Has that got to fit through there?
Yes.
Does that unscrew?
We unscrew the end cap and then fit it through. It is very cumbersome. So the second run prototype will be much, much smaller and in the shape of a ball so that it slides through the hole in the
Barry
French
could put
cuff.
his photo of his Rolls Royce on his cufflinks.
Oh, get a life.
The Dragons are still unconvinced with Marshall's large and bulky prototype. He's boldly stated he can conquer the lucrative US teen market. But can Marshall's claims be converted into sales and profit?
How much does it cost to make, and how much is the retail price?
That build there costs about $7 each. The price of brass has since more than doubled, so the price has gone up. They will retail at 200 New Zealand and 200 US. I am American, and I know the American market. The expected turnover of this is, I can just pull out a high end, 15.9 million students. Now, do I believe we're going to sell 15.9 million pairs of cufflinks at $100 profit each for $150 million profit to students in the United States? I do not. Do I think we can do that worldwide? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a really neat invention, and for the man who has the money, he'll buy it because he can afford it. It is very expensive. And for the people who want to be like that man, they will buy it.
And there's nothing like this in the US at the moment?
Doesn't exist. I invented it.
You're convinced that this customer wants to buy a cufflink backlit with the backlit photo of his child or something on it?
Their child, their car, their yacht.
I'm not Marshall, so I'm out.
I wouldn't wear them because it's almost bad taste to wear something with a wallaby or a kiwi or something like that on. I just don't think you've got a product, mate. So I'm out.
I agree with Bob entirely, and for that reason, I'm out.
Cufflinks may be coming back into style, but that hasn't swayed 3 Dragons, and they're out. So how well does Marshall know his buying public?
Have you done some market research? Have you gone out and asked more than 300 people whether they would wear it, men in your demographic group?
I have, and I'll have to be completely honest with you. They're my friends. When I do it, I want to do it properly and hit like a ton of bricks so that somebody can't come along, kick it, and have it killed.
I can't see it flying, I really can't. And I definitely wouldn't, you know, if you were selling a ring, would I wear a beautiful sapphire, or would I wear a photograph of my Merc? You know what? It's going to win every time, so I'm out.
I can't see a top-end customer wearing what appears to be a novelty item. And I think maybe teenagers might go for it. But I think anyone going around with cufflinks with a photo of his boat on them would be a real tosser. Maybe Americans are different.
It was an honor meeting you.
Despite his smooth talking and persuasive pitch for light links, Marshall hasn't found any investors in the Dragon's Den, and he's left empty-handed.
That's a terrible idea. Terrible idea.
Who would want to have your cufflinks lit up?
$200 a pair? No teenagers are going to buy it.
Hey, Bob, you would need a lot of cufflinks to get all your children on there, mate.
So, Marshall, no investors there. How was it in the den?
They gave me some good hints and tips, and I obviously have to hit the drawing board pretty hard.
They seem to dismiss the American market outright, yet you obviously know a great deal more about that.
Americans love stuff from New Zealand. They just fall over themselves for it. And I believe this is one of those products they would do the same. If it's made in China, no one wants it.
Okay, well, I wish you the best of luck with that.
Thank you very much, sir.
Coming up, Mandy Scott Mackey sees big money in securing the nation's building sites.
So basically, you've never sold one yet.
I haven't sold any.
So it's an idea you wish to pursue.
I think it's more than an idea.
It's more than an idea, I agree with you.
And a new spin on the common jigsaw puzzle.
I would like to introduce you to the world's first circular magnetic puzzle.
Building a successful business takes a lot of drive and determination. And our next entrepreneur, Mandy Scott Mackey, thinks she has the DIY know-how to make King clamps a huge success. She's come to the den hoping to take away $100,000 and in return is offering 15% of her company.
Hi there, I'm Mandy Scott Mackey and I'm here to tell you about the King clamp. The clamp is a reusable safety rail for the construction industry. Current legislation requires that any exposed edge on a building site, for instance, over 3 metres, has to be protected at intervals where the verticals withstand 69 kilos and horizontals that go through here withstand 45 kilos. This has been engineered and is up to those specifications. If you took a 6th-floor construction site in Auckland, they would spend about $150,000 on edge protection for one project and then dispose of the materials used. This I see probably as having a market with the DIY or spec builder and through higher-edge companies, so that the chap who's building a deck at weekends can protect the edge until he puts the balustrade up next weekend, putting 4x2 in here. The round version, very much more for the construction site for the big boys. I'm looking for $100,000 and 15% of the company.
Mandy's heavy-duty safety device could find some appeal among the dragons who have experience in the construction industry. But Barry Colman wants to know how the King clamp secures the average building site.
If you're doing a commercial construction of a high-rise, would you still have to use conventional scaffolding as well as that? Or could you just use that?
The scaffolding has a different purpose. This is for the edges, the decks, the temporary edge before the wall goes up, before the balustrade goes up.
I get that. Why do you say that what they use at the moment has to be disposed of afterwards?
A lot of the materials they use at the moment are wood, and because subcontractors are not terribly careful with the materials used on site, they rip it off and chuck it away at the end.
Mandy, is there any scenario you can envisage where this is used, where scaffolding is not?
Absolutely.
Like, give me some examples.
If you were having a deck built off your first-floor bedroom, the deck gets built, so that leaves the deck sticking out from the building. Well, that's a prime example that should have the clamps on these clamps on the outside of that building.
The dragons are still trying to grasp the concept of Mandy's King clamp. She's selling it as a unique safety device, but the dragons want to know if her product has the right protection.
Mandy, who owns the IP?
I do.
You've got patents?
It's my sole property.
You're wanting $100,000 for 15%?
Yes.
What's that money for?
The money is to take the patent further. There's been interest from the UK and from Canada at the moment.
Is the patent pending, or do you have the patent?
The patent is has been done for New Zealand.
You've made an application, or you've got it?
The application's been made.
So it's a patent pending?
Yes. The money is also for legal robustness. I want to be 200% ready for any competition that may come along.
At a cost per unit?
These cost about $180 in total to produce at a sale of $250, and the projection of only 5,000 units for the first year. That gives a return of 30%, so that gives a return of $400,000.
Have you got product out there at the moment?
Not for sale because of the legal side of things.
So basically you've never sold one yet?
I haven't sold any. I have the opportunities waiting
so it's
for
an
this,
idea you wish to pursue.
waiting for this to be ready. I think it's more than an idea.
It is more than an idea, I agree with you.
Mandy, I'm out, and because everything else might be fading, but my imagination's not, and I'm struggling to envisage a single user of this. I just can't imagine a situation where you can use it because of the scaffolding. It already does it much easier and more efficiently with a simple loop.
Bob Jones, a veteran of the commercial property industry, is out. Mandy's still trying to convince the Dragons she has a good business proposition. So is the high cost of the King clamp another flaw in Mandy's business plan?
Tell us your marketing plan. You're going to make this invention how, in China, here?
Vietnam is where we're looking at the moment.
What's the indicative price?
I would be looking at turning them out at about the $40, $50 per unit.
I think you're really smart, and I think you do know the construction business. And if I knew anything about the construction industry, I might be in, but I don't.
So you're not?
So I'm sorry, but I'm out too.
I think it could be exciting, it might not be, but I know nothing about it. So for that reason, good luck, and I'm out.
You know one of your problems? I think you need a lot more than $100,000 to roll this product out.
I don't think so to start with for New Zealand.
Why would you go ahead and develop the New Zealand market without protecting the other markets?
The current patent covers those other countries because we have a copyright here.
With 3 Dragons already out, Mandy's still fighting to prove King Clamp has adequate patent protection, as well as a place in the construction industry. So will either Paul Webb or Barry Colman see her high-rise clamps as high-end and invest the $100,000 she needs in return for just 15% of the company?
Among other things, I also bring to the table an idea that we wouldn't sell one single one of these.
Really?
So if I ring up for a nuclear physicist because I want a bob made, what will you do?
Pauline, you know what I'd do? I'd call the authorities.
Mandy Scott Mackey has come to Dragon's Den with a construction safety device called the King Clamp. She wants $100,000 to tie up her New Zealand patent protection, and in return is offering 15% of the company. Only Paul Webb and Barry Colman are left, so do they think it's a good business opportunity?
Well, I'm interested, but I don't want to take a stake of 15%, and I'd make you an offer of $100,000 for 40%. And I'd also caveat that by saying that we are involved in several construction companies.
Can I ask who's we?
Cambridge Construction, which has been around for about 15 years, is one of our companies. And we've also got another construction company in Auckland called Construct. And we would have a use for some of these units.
I would go to 25%.
You wouldn't get me.
Can we go to 30?
40% for 100,000.
35.
40% for 100,000.
Negotiations have quickly hit a stalemate. Mandy came to the Den offering 15% of her business in return for $100,000. Paul Webb is not budging on his only offer of 40%.
I also bring to the table an idea that we wouldn't sell one single one of these.
On what basis?
Well, you've got an asset there that doesn't depreciate. And this asset is a piece of steel that would take a long time to wear out, and you'd simply rent them out to building sites.
The requirements of renting direct to the user are far greater than if I'm passing that responsibility on to the hire company, because they need to be demonstrated, and there's the liability issues.
Liability insurance isn't that expensive, is it?
There's still a process that you need to go through. You need the premises, and you need to train everybody and invoice them in and invoice them out. It's a whole separate business.
Mandy's reticence towards leasing her King clamps instead of selling them could have cost her a deal. Mandy's not taken Paul Webb's 40% offer, so she's now pinning her hopes on Barry Colman.
Where I'm sitting at the moment is that I'll take half of it for half of the 35% you've offered. If my colleague took up the other half, you'd have your 35% that you've offered us.
So you're having 17.5 each.
That was what you offered before. You offered 35
It
and I
is
stuck
indeed.
to my guns at 40.
The pair of you jointly, 100,000 for 35%.
Yeah, I'd do that. So do we have a deal?
Yes, gentlemen, we do.
Perfect.
Great.
Thank you.
Well done.
Mandy's got what she came for. She's taken the $100,000 investment, while Barry Colman and Paul Webb have each secured a 17.5% stake in the King Clamp business.
There is not a single potential user for that.
Bob, I'll tell you this, right? These safety rails, you can't build a building without putting up a safety rail.
Paul, before you were born I was doing this stuff. Please don't preach to me.
No, I'm asking a yes-no question, Bob. Do you need a safety
I know
rail?
about these things. Of course you do. I'm not arguing that. There
So
already
why
is
would
a
you say there's
system.
no use for it?
She's solving a non-existent problem.
We'll see what happens.
Mandy, many congratulations. But it was extraordinary. You had dragons who didn't know what you were trying to sell, and then you ended up with one very committed one, Paul, from the construction industry. He was your key, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. He got it, and then the conversation, negotiation went from there.
And then from nowhere, Barry then came in on the act. He wanted a piece of that action as well, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He'd been sitting there quietly, absorbing the whole process. I wasn't sure whether he was completely disinterested or contemplating something, and sure enough, whoa, from out of left field.
So how does it sit? 35% sold
Yes.
to 2 dragons who are now going to be part of your company,
Yes.
when you only initially wanted to give away far less of the company.
15. But need to look at what I'm getting with it, and that's very, very valuable. It's not the sort of stuff I can go out and buy in terms of expertise.
So you're walking away happy?
I am very happy.
Well, well done.
Thank you.
Coming up with something new and innovative doesn't necessarily guarantee success in Dragon's Den. Often it's just putting a new twist on an old idea. And that's what our next entrepreneur, Paul Isink, has done. So will our 5 investors see his jig mag as a business opportunity worth investing $250,000 in exchange for just 65% of his company?
Dragons, thank you for having me. I'm Paul Isink. I would like to introduce you to the world's first circular magnetic puzzle. Normal jigsaw puzzles have a minimum of 2 interlocking pieces and a maximum of 4 interlocking pieces. The jig mag has no interlocking pieces at all. Each individual piece fits to each other piece in the puzzle, which makes it a bit complex to finish. There's heaps of fun. It can be played on a fridge, on a magnetic whiteboard, on a filing cabinet, or on a metal plate, such as this. And it has only 177 pieces, which equates to a normal jigsaw puzzle of about 1,000 pieces. I'm asking $250,000 and a share of 65% of the business to the Dragons.
The game sounds simple enough, but the Dragons are unsure how Paul's jig mag is going to compete against the long-established pastime of jigsaw puzzles.
Have you got some examples of what can be created that makes this better than a jigsaw?
You create basically the artwork that the puzzle has been designed. In this scenario, it's a smiley face.
Yeah.
It could be a cutaway kiwi fruit, something like that. It could be any round shape artwork, the earth, the moon. The more simplistic the artwork is, the more complex it is to finish this puzzle. You can shape these little magnets together to any typical shape. Your imagination is...
Well, Paul, I think it's got a flaw, and I'll tell you what it is. It's a variation on a jigsaw, and jigsaws are fun, and kids like them.
Yes.
I like them. And the problem is it's an inferior variation. I just don't see you've got a product there, mate, so I'm out.
Paul, I'm out too, and one of the reasons that I'd be out is that I think it'd be too hard to market. It's actually a bit too complicated. We all know what a jigsaw puzzle is. When you use that term, you then have to sort of go into reverse gear to explain it.
I'm not calling it a jigsaw puzzle, it's a jig mag.
Barry Colman and Bob Jones struggled to understand how Jig Mag could compete against jigsaw puzzles, and they're out. So Annette Presley wants to know who's going to play the game.
What's your target age group for this?
I've targeted basically from 36 months to 3 or 4 years upwards. I'm not necessarily targeting the children as such.
I've got 2 little children. I just can't see them doing this. For that reason, good luck and I'm out.
I just struggle to see how somebody could get excited about doing that, to be honest. And for that reason, I'm out.
Paul's jig mag has failed to get 4 dragons interested in magnetic circular puzzles. His only hope to get the $250,000 needed to produce the game now lies with Julie Christie.
I'm a big jigsaw puzzle person. I love them. You know, I love them is because you're incapable of thinking about anything else while you're doing a jigsaw puzzle. They're a great relaxation because they require full concentration. So this puzzle does not have that element of there being only one way to do it. Are you saying there are lots of ways?
There is only one way of finishing it, but you will find out at the end of the puzzle whether you've made a mistake somewhere. It's something that a normal jigsaw piece fits only uniquely into one other piece. These will fit in any other piece around the puzzle.
I just don't think that it's a fridge magnet, which I think is a fridge magnet, that I'm ever going to really get excited about it. And also I would be very frustrated about the fact that I nearly got to the end of the puzzle and found that the pieces could go elsewhere.
Did you buy that cube?
No, no. Too brainy for me. So I'm out.
That's cool.
The dragons couldn't see an investment opportunity in Jigmag, so Paul's left the den with nothing.
It just doesn't seem to have any redeeming features.
I could see the odd super nerd getting excited about this.
You know, there's a huge adult market for jigsaw puzzles.
Really?
Yep.
So if you're getting a bit stressed out at work or anything, do a jigsaw puzzle and it helps.
Paul, hard luck there. What do you think the problem was?
I think the dragons didn't really get the concept of the circular magnetic puzzle. They were focusing on jigsaw type of shapes. This has a completely different concept, which makes it more complex to make. So I didn't think they really grasped what I actually was pitching there.
So, Paul, where'd you go with the puzzle from here?
I will continue selling it on the auction websites that are currently very hot, and we'll take it from there.
Today we're here to present to you... Can I start that again?
Up next in the den is Christchurch entrepreneur Pauline Ruck. She's asking for $50,000 for what she believes is the only number you'll need to remember when you're stuck. To get one of the dragons on board, Pauline's willing to give up 30% of her company.
Hello Dragons, how are you all? My name's Pauline Ruck and I'd like to introduce you to the #1 service. Take this scenario. These people have a pest problem. One day they come home from work and they find the pests have simply moved in. Now these people are lucky because they know who to call. In any emergency situation, you cannot be hunting around your house for directories. And so all you need to do is dial our single number, 0800 660 666. We live in busy times. Why spend your time looking through different big directories trying to find what you need when at the touch of a button you can have whatever you need within seconds? To this end, I'm asking for a minimum investment of $50,000 for, say, 30% of the company.
Pauline's pitched her one number as the one guaranteed way of getting a tradesperson day or night. However, Bob Jones sees a more sinister side to the service.
I'm not religious, but a lot of people are. You've got the devil's number.
Actually, we've only ever had one call commenting on the number. Well, he'll never forget the number, will he?
This service is available now. Certainly in Wellington region, there are people, I see them advertising all the time, one-stop shop sort of thing for services.
I think you'll find that those people take a percentage of every job that their businesses get from the number. We don't take a percentage.
So where's your revenue?
Our revenue comes from the businesses that join the network.
I like using 018. I just ring and say, get me a whoever.
That can't be true because 018's not allowed to do that.
So if I ring up for a nuclear physicist because I want a bomb made, what will you do?
Pauline, you know what I'd do? I'd call the authorities.
And get him put away, yes.
How are you going to get this vast variety of tradespeople to join your service if you're going to charge for it? Let's say you ring all the plumbers in Christchurch and none of them want to be part of it.
That simply wouldn't happen. In the first 2 months in Christchurch, I've sold over $26,000 worth of businesses onto the network. And that's just in Christchurch, in 2 months.
Despite the Dragon's scepticism over her service, Pauline's already proven there are plenty of dollars to be made from her dialing directory. Paul Webb wants to know if the clients are just as happy.
So you've sold $26,000 worth of tradespeople onto your system. I'm just wondering whether these people are feeling aggrieved or whether they're quite happy with their investment that they've made.
They seem to be quite happy, the people I've spoken to.
So how much work would you be pushing their way?
The call centre's getting probably 250, 300 calls a month.
Have you done financial projections going forward?
It's difficult to do a forecast for the next 12 months.
No, it's not. I had a forecast for the next 5 years, 6 months before I started up our business. It's not that hard. You have to have that to know whether it's worthwhile investing. If your accountant can't help you to put together a forecast based on what you're doing now and what your business plan is going forward, then I'm afraid I'm not interested. I'm out.
When you say that you're number one and you're the answer to every problem, you've got a major problem if you're not. If there's any category of anything that you don't have covered, that you haven't managed to sell, and you're claiming that you can get anything from your service, then what happens?
We had a call through the 0800 number for a chimney sweep. Right, we didn't have a chimney sweep, so I did use Yellow Pages. Rather than lose that caller.
You said that the purpose of your service is that you've heavily vetted these people and you don't use the Yellow Pages.
I made sure that the people that we had on board, especially the main trades, were 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
You can't guarantee that the plumber's going to pick up the phone 24 hours a day because they don't.
I can guarantee that with the plumber, actually.
You're over-promising like crazy.
Yeah.
You can't guarantee that those tradesmen are going to pick up the call 24 hours a day.
Her pitch has taken a turn for the worse as the Dragons have now exposed major weaknesses in the business concept. So will the 4 remaining investors look past those hurdles and see any profits for the $50,000 investment?
Pauline, I've envisaged this call centre full of people sharing 8 calls between them a day. And tradesmen are always letting people down, so I don't know how you're going to deal with a backlog of calls from people pissed off. So I see this business as being very problematic, very, very difficult to get any size because of all those issues, and for all of those reasons I'm out.
Pauline, I'm just struggling to work out how you are making any money.
The profit for the first 2 months was $15,000. That's not bad for a test.
Well, you know what I think? I think you're going well enough and you probably don't need us then, so I'm out.
Well, Pauline, the other problem I had was a very basic one. Your 0800 number for number 1, people would not be able to remember it anyway. No one's going to remember a phone number that doesn't have any rhythm in it. So I'm afraid I don't see your business as being practical, so I'm out.
You sound as if you're very determined and energetic. There's nothing new about it. People have been doing this sort of thing as long as I can remember, but they never get big. But you may make yourself a little business and have the dignity of self-employment and so on. But I don't see it as an investment, so I'm out, I'm afraid.
Well, I value your opinion. Obviously, you're a successful businessman. I do think that you're wrong.
A defiant Pauline hasn't managed to sway the Dragons to invest in her 0800 service, and she's left Dragon's Den empty-handed.
It's not clear to me how she's making any money.
But the point was raised, she's over-promised so much.
I know.
There is no way she can guarantee to deliver what she's promised.
Not only to the customers, not over-promised, but also to the people that she charges these contractors to sign up.
Pauline, how hard was that? Because it seems as though the dragons really just picked your idea apart, didn't they?
It was good advice. Some of it I'll take on board. I don't see that they could see the potential for growth, but we'll see what happens.
The dragons particularly questioned the number. They said no one would be able to remember it.
They're completely wrong. The number is very easy to remember. It rolls off the tongue. It comes over especially well on the radio ads.
Pauline, it seems to me that going a couple of rounds with the dragons has made you even more determined.
That's dead right. I am even more determined now to take my number nationwide. Of course, I'm committed to it, and then it will be the only number you'll ever need.
Fair enough. Well, best of luck with that, Pauline.
Thank you.
It's people with drive who make things happen. So will Bernie Waddell's story inspire our dragons to part with $100,000 of their money for 30% of his company?
I'm Bernard Wardle. I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce you to Richard James, my business partner. How this product came about, I was a builder and I actually fell off a two-storey building. Back in 1991, after many hours and many years of rehabilitation, I went through and then I started to look right through the whole of the marketplace, and I could not find one thing that could give me back my independence. I had home carers coming into my home just to hang the washing on the line. So from that I then came up with the system that is actually sitting before you today. Today we're here to present to you made a mistake, sorry. Sorry, can I start that again?
Bernie's pitch has got off to a disastrous start. Despite highlighting his personal plight to gain back his own independence, he hasn't explained his product or the investment opportunity, and he's now floundering in front of the dragons.
Is that what you're telling me, that the people's full-time occupations going around hanging out washing?
Sorry.
Bernie Wardle's come to Dragon's Den with a collapsible clothesline as well as a unique clipping system. The pegs are attached to a second line clipped above the actual washing so they can't fall to the floor and are always ready for use. But Bernie's so far failed to make this clear to the investors, and now it's up to his business partner Richard to rescue the pitch.
We're looking for an investment of $100,000 in the company for a 30% share. That money will be used to develop and implement a marketing plan, to produce the dyes required for the second clipping system, and to produce stock of both the clipping system and the portable clotheslines. The ACC spend $68 million a year on helping people hang out their washing alone. I know, a staggering amount. Could not believe it. There are 431,000 people in New Zealand with disabilities. That's just over 10% of the population have some form of disabilities. Products like this will assist some of those people. The original market for the clipping system was predominantly the disability market. In looking at that market, we found that there was also a market for just general households. We've sold just over 400 units to date of the clipping system, and we've got orders in place, paid orders for 30 of the portable clotheslines.
The clipping system, though, has one characteristic, or have I got this wrong? And that is that the pegs don't drop to the ground. Is that it?
That's right.
Solely that?
Sole bottom line.
You said they're spending $68 million a year on hanging up washing. I don't believe that. That means that there's a profession in New Zealand of washing hanger-uppers, which number, on my estimation, about 2,000 people then. Is that what you're telling me? That there are people's full-time occupations going around hanging up washing?
Sorry. Occupational therapists go around to the homes because sometimes in different areas there's nothing else available, or you've got like home help agencies going in and they're being sent in just to hang out washing or do simple mundane chores.
Is the ACC going to be the customer for these?
Yes, ACC do and will fund the product.
Oh, so the client is ACC?
Basically, yes, ACC and private individuals.
It sounds like this is a good slush fund from the government to me.
Barry Colman can see the sizable sales to government agencies, but does the clipping system have wider appeal?
We are predicting that sales in the first full year will be around $400,000.
What are your distribution channels to achieve that?
Currently, the product is retailing through the Bunnings and Mitre 10 group. We looked at fairly conservative, working on fairly conservative numbers, starting at like 100 units a month.
I applaud you for what you've done. I think coming back from a back injury and you've got some real passion for your product. I'm a little bit concerned about the size of your market in terms of the growth projections that you have, the market that you've targeted in a one-off sale environment. Recurring revenue is going to be non-existent. So good luck and I'm out.
I think, you know, good on you for having your little business there that's ticking away, but it's certainly not an investment that I could take seriously, and for that reason I'm out.
Bernie, I think it's great to see what you've done. It's just not my sort of product, so I'm out, but I truly admire your comeback. Well done.
That end target is, I believe, to get the product out there as fast as we can, get it out to the people, and to be able to help other people like I was in my situation.
While I appreciate that it's a nuisance when you've got a back problem, if you have to pick up a peg, I don't think that's such a huge issue. You might drop the odd peg, someone can pick them up for you, you know, it's just not a big issue. So I'm afraid I'm out, chaps, but prove us wrong.
Bernie's passionate plea to get an investor hasn't convinced 4 Dragons, and they're out. Only Barry Colman is left. Bernie's chasing $100,000 in return for 30% of his company. Has the initial slip-up cost him the much-needed investment?
I think it's a bloody great idea. I think that, you know, I can see a huge market for it, particularly if the government's writing cheques at that volume. I think it's fantastic. Bloody good on you. I'd be happy to give you 100 grand.
Thank you very much. And I appreciate that.
Well done, Barry.
Thank you very much, sir.
Good luck.
Just made my day.
You came right in the end, didn't you?
I struggled through and I was
Well done. Well done.
Despite not being the greatest salesman, Bernie's passion to help those with disabilities has won over Barry Colman, who's taken 30% of the company for the $100,000 investment.
Thank you very much.
Good man.
Doing God's work.
Well done.
Like, he's a nice fellow.
Yeah,
you know, he drives
means
me.
well.
Guys, it wasn't looking good at the beginning of that, but you've come out of here with your investor.
Yes, you know, I've struggled for a long time, and thank goodness that someone actually seen the pain, the heartache, the strain, the stress, everything.
Richard, what were you thinking when you saw Bernie struggling at the beginning of the pitch?
I was thinking, oh, you know, how can we recover this? But, you know, Bernie in the end, he did pick up. He came through with the, you know, with the goods in the end.
Were you both surprised when suddenly Barry said, I think it's an excellent product, I'll give you the money?
I was. I don't know about Bernie.
I had to wait for a second and sort of hear the words come through my head again and again. I've struggled. I've put every little thing that I've had in my whole life into it. There was nothing left to give. And now I just got it, and now I've been given that opportunity. Thank you.
Well done. It's a roller coaster ride in the Dragon's Den. Bernie Waddles was a tearful triumph, turning his clothesline system from a dream into reality. And Mandy Scott Mackey's King Clamps secured the funds to get her business going. But not everyone can be a winner, and those who left the den empty-handed will have to prove the dragons wrong and make it on their own. In business, you never give up. Goodbye.
How much have you spent on it, Stan?
I'd be embarrassed to tell you. Probably about 30 bucks.
I don't think that in the entire human history anyone's attended a wedding or horse races in gumboots.